Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Pluribus Diaries. I'm Annie.
I'm Jenn.
And we're back with you for episode 2, Pirate Lady.
Yes!
I love this title, and I love it even more knowing now what the context is.
It is. I mean, it kind of made no sense when we heard about it out of context. Like, we as us, that made some sense. Because, you know, we kind of know a little bit about the gist of Pluribus. But Pirate Lady, where's that coming from? So I love learning about the purpose of that title.
I thought it was possible that it meant it was going to be referred to Carol because we know that she writes these historical romance novels, so they would be calling her the Pirate Lady. But like, I like that it isn't, that it was unexpected and something totally different, which is great.
I did like that. Yeah.
Before we get into the meat of this episode, we want to thank everybody for listening. Everybody who's tuning in, we love to hear from you guys, and we hope to continue to do so. And I wanted to bring up too, Jen, did you see that great Apple video that they posted with all of the people who were sending in their videos of join us, Carol. We're sorry we upset you, Carol.
I did see that. And because there was a promo video essentially from Vince Gilligan like a couple of weeks ago, sort of encouraging people to send in videos of themselves doing this. And he didn't say why or what
nobody knew
what was going to be done with it.
What was happening. Yeah.
But now we found out what it was, and what a cool thing to learn.
I really want to know who put this together, if it was like Skip or Chris, like one of the editors of the show, or if it was someone at Apple. Like, I want to know who put this together because it was great. And I think one of my favorite things about it was that some of the people from the Gilliverse, as we refer to it, popped up. Yes, we see Bryan Cranston, we see Aaron Paul, we see Patrick Fabian, we see Jonathan Banks, we see, who else do we see? Bob Odenkirk, of course. I should have mentioned him first. They are all in the video too, and they're like...
That is so fun.
Join us, Carol. Even Carol Burnett shows up.
Carol Burnett, like the finale, essentially. We get Carol Burnett at the end, which is where she belongs. She's great. And she's part of the Gilliverse too, of course.
And Giancarlo Esposito. Gus. Good old Gus showed up. I loved it. We got to see everybody.
It was hilarious. And I was not expecting that. The first one I noticed was Bryan Cranston, but he's very much blink if you miss it. So you really have to be paying attention for him.
Well, and he's right up at the top, and I didn't even recognize Aaron Paul at first because he looks so different now, but he's like having the time of his life in Paris and being like, join us, Carol.
He is. It's good fun, a lot of fun. I think that was a great thing to do.
I also wanted to mention this too, because I know people have been asking Vince if like this show is taking place in the same universe as his other shows, and he's tried to be kind of very politely like clear about no, like this is not, but in a weird way, I actually had I broke out into like a cold sweat when I imagined my precious Kim and Jimmy, wherever they are now, in whatever horrendous situation they're in, being part of the hive mind. Like that.
I don't want to think about that.
That's horrifying. So somehow it's more comfortable to think of like, Bob Odenkirk, he can be part of the hive mind. That's fine. Aaron Paul, he can be part of the hive mind. Cool. Yeah. As long as it's not my precious Jessie,
Exactly. Not Jessie.
So I almost feel like this was a great way to like quash that. Like
kind of
squash
does in a
that
way,
idea,
Yeah. You can't have your actors doing a promo video and have them in the show at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. So I no longer have to worry that Kim and Jimmy are hive-minded. They're not. They're fine. They're just fine somewhere in a different universe.
It was easy for me to kind of just think of it as something different because it's Ray Seahorn. She can't be in two places at one time. So that immediately to me makes it like a different universe. But obviously not a totally different universe. I'm sure like we'll see some things that remind us of Breaking Bad and
we
Better
do.
Call Saul, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the same place.
Right. All right, well, let's jump into this, shall we, Jen?
Let's do it.
Season 1, Episode 2, Pirate Lady. And we start off with a new character played by Carolina Vidra, who is fabulous. I just wanted to point out, I love her. She's so great in this role, right off the top. Awesome.
Fabulous. She's gorgeous, first of all, and brilliant as well.
Very compelling screen presence. And she has a lot to do, particularly in the beginning of this episode. Yeah.
Well, she's the whole cold open.
Exactly. So, okay, I wanted to bring this up because I We open in I believe it's Morocco. I did some research and
I
it
think
seems
so
like
too.
they're in
Yeah.
Morocco, and
Yeah.
it's bright. It's like daylight. And I was thinking, okay, so has it been some time since the D-Day happened? But I'm like, no, I went and I checked my world clock and they're 9 hours ahead, or actually maybe 7 hours ahead, something like that, of Albuquerque. And so assuming Albuquerque all went crazy late at night, I don't know, 11, we don't know what time it was, but it was late
It's
at night.
nighttime. Yeah.
Yeah. Then it's very, very possible that we are picking up with Zosia right at the moment that the Pluribus has taken over everybody.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it that way, but I think, yeah, it's entirely possible.
It's possible that we're seeing her first moments. Like she literally just becomes part of the Pluribus and then immediately is going to clean up. That's what she's,
that's
she
entirely
knows
possible.
her mission. She's doing it, which then it leads to my next question. Because of her clothing, it's kind of looks like a kind of old robe, and she's very filthy. And then I wonder, is she like, where is she coming from? Is she just like from like has she come from poverty? Is she off some compound? Like what is the deal with her? Where does she come from?
Was she working on a farm maybe?
Yeah,
Who
her
knows?
clothing is very interesting. I'm not sure what her story is, but I hope we get to find out.
I really hope so too.
Prior to becoming part of the hive mind, who was Zosia? And
I would love to find out.
So she helps someone out of a car. They're dead, but she pulls the bodies. They're cleaning up the bodies. And
she's helping to clean up those bodies.
Loading them into the truck. And it's basically just they're like the cleanup crew. And I think what's so cool about this scene, and it's a long scene, but it's very Vince. It reminds me of some of these cold opens of like Breaking Bad or whatever, when you don't really know what's happening until later in the episode, then you realize. Very, very cool. But what I love about this is that it's really showing the hive mind, the Pluribus, in action. And it's like she's loading the body into the truck. The motorcycle comes up. It's seamless. It's not like she turns around and notices them. She doesn't have to. She already knows.
She just knows. She knows it's there, and there's no communication required.
None.
She knows exactly what to do. It's like perfectly choreographed.
Yep. It's like this is what's expected of me as part of this mission.
This is what I do now. I
have been summoned as this person who looks like Carol's male pirate guy, whatever, as we get there. So, basically this is the reason that she has been chosen and she's performing these tasks. And I just think it's really cool as we see her go from thing to thing to thing, how just deadpan. I can't think of a better word for it.
It's really interesting to watch.
Driven.
And to watch how she behaves and how the other pod people, as Carol calls them, around her behave. It's fascinating to watch, actually.
Yeah, and they don't look at each other. I find that interesting too.
Yeah.
They don't. The Pluribus don't have to look at each other because, like you said, they know exactly what's happening.
They don't look at each other, and they never speak to each other.
And it also, like, I don't know if this occurred to you at all, but it kind of made me think of the Matrix, the concept of like this shared knowledge that suddenly, like, she knows how to ride a motorcycle. She knows how to fly this giant Hercules plane. She knows all of these things because they all know it, because they all share that knowledge.
Cool idea.
It's a really neat concept.
Any of them can do everything, which is
like the implications of that are pretty phenomenal.
Wild. Yeah, pretty wild. And they are just I could do honestly a whole episode just watching them and just doing their thing, because it was so fascinating to watch. And it was a great way to learn about them and how they interact and how they operate. And
zero dialogue. This is the perfect example of showing and not telling. We don't have to hear anything. We are watching everything happen. And
very, very good. Very classic Vince.
Yes. They were talking on the official pod, about how Carolina Vidra was actually driving this plane, like taxiing it. Like they actually taught her how to do it.
Yeah, she was actually taxiing down the to some degree at least down the runway with this plane. Amazing.
And that there was actually there would have been a co-pilot there because, and I asked you about this earlier, Jen. This was literally like the only thing we talked about prior to doing the podcast.
Yeah, the only thing we discussed.
I was like, did your husband say that one person could fly that plane? Because I know I'm not a plane person, but I immediately was like, there's no way one person physically. Sure,
Yeah.
mentally, maybe she's got all this knowledge, but
Right.
physically, you probably need two people to fly that
Yeah.
plane, right?
And as I told you during the episode, my husband, who's a big airplane buff, immediately said, "Oh, there's no way one person can fly the Hercules. That's just wrong." I'm like, it's just very him. So that's the answer. That no, not you can't. But that's fine. I'm willing to sort of just
I can
chalk that
suspend
up
my
to
disbelief for
yeah.
that.
That's just she's just extremely skilled.
It's just, and I think it tells the story better. Like, this is
It
one of those
does.
moments, and I think Vince is aware, like, he mentioned too something about the idea of it being one person kind of makes it creepier. That's like, it goes to his X-Files roots, that like this is by nature, when you see one person kind of alone, you're going to be a little bit more on edge, a little bit more like, what is happening? And so I feel like maybe he's like, just keep it simple, one person.
Absolutely.
And it does illustrate, again, without talking, that she doesn't need help. She can do it on her own.
Yeah,
And I think the scene is so much more effective without another person, regardless of whether or not it's
exactly.
accurate.
It is meant to emphasize how much skill and knowledge an individual who's part of the Pluribus has. And so it does that effectively.
Yeah. And it's definitely one of those moments where sacrificing the authenticity, I think, helps. Like, it actually helps the story. Yeah.
Like, and it was, as much as my husband's all like, she couldn't fly it like that. It was more just him showing off his plane knowledge than anything else. And it didn't throw him off in terms of enjoying the episode.
That's good. Luckily, you're enjoying it enough that that's not the kind of thing that's going to throw you too much. I mean,
when something's well done, you don't care about the little details.
You just don't care. I
mean,
I feel like
I can forgive a lot in that case.
I feel like we say that a lot on X-Files Diaries when we're talking about certain things that you have to suspend your disbelief, but it's like, you're just having such a great time that you just don't care.
You don't even care, right? Yeah. And it definitely, like, when a show is well done and you feel a connection with the characters, it builds up a lot of good faith with the viewer, and that allows the viewer to kind of be okay if a few little details are not entirely what you'd expect in reality. And so I think that certainly for me, even at this point, even though we're only at the start of episode 2 with Pluribus, I'm willing to they can do whatever they want, and I'm on board with that ride.
Yeah. It's like, I don't look at it and think you made a mistake. I look at it and think you made this purposeful choice, and it was a good one.
There's always that sense, I think, with Vince. Everything is always feels deliberate and thought out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we actually get to see the Pluribus intro for the first time.
We do, and I was excited about that.
Me too. And we get a little bit of a theme song, which I think
was kind of neat.
It's mainly, I think, female a cappella voices singing.
And kind of like together, but then not together. Interesting.
Yeah, kind of discordant. I liked it.
I like it.
And then the visuals was like, it looked almost like ripples, like a ripple effect. And then the actual letters, to me, looked like fingerprints. I don't know if you thought that.
Oh, I did not notice that, but I will take note of that.
It's almost like the fingerprint denotes individuality, which I thought was an interesting choice, but really cool.
That's cool.
I wonder, too, if it's going to change. Like say like Better Call Saul did, it changed every week. Like there was something kind of different. So it'll be interesting to see if they stick with that or if they do something different.
Yeah, I'll be curious, because I'm sure it's always done, thoughtfully. So I'll be interested to see what they do. So I was delighted to see a little bit of an opening this time, because we didn't get that in episode
pilot.
number 1. So it was kind of fun to see that.
So we are back to our countdown clock, although it's now our count up clock.
Our count up clock.
Our count up clock. We're at 0 days, 11 hours, 26 minutes, and 27 seconds since, D-Day, which is what we've been calling it.
Indeed.
Carol is passed out. Clearly, she's been drinking, as we discussed.
She has drunk that whole bottle, apparently.
Yeah. And of course she's passed out. And, again, I cannot judge her, because what would we do in that situation?
She's had a really, really bad
rough night. Yeah.
Yeah. So and she's like on the floor. So
she
clearly had ample to drink.
I thought it was a really cool detail, and I didn't notice it till the second time I watched it through, that she's got an address book open and the phone.
Oh, I did not notice that.
Which to me implies that maybe she'd been spending all night calling everyone she knows to see if any of those people were not hive-minded. That's kind of how I took that.
Oh, that's a really interesting detail, because that was one thing that did kind of throw me a little bit in this episode and this was like one of the very, very few, very minor critiques I could think of, which maybe you've just addressed, which was I kept wondering, isn't Carol curious about other people in her life? Like, obviously, she knows about the fate of dear poor Helen, but there must be
Obviously, there's
family,
more
friends.
people. Yeah.
Wouldn't she wonder about them? But if there is an address book there, it could well imply she's been trying to get a hold of people and just hasn't been able to. So I like that.
I think that's what's happening. And again, it's just a tiny little thing. And I missed it the first time, but it does.
I missed it too.
Address that. It does.
I like that. Addressed that. A little pun. A little pun there. I liked that.
To my satisfaction.
Well done.
Well done. Okay. This was one of my favorite parts of the episode already. And this one has a lot of great moments. But I think this moment where she wakes up and she sees Helen dead, and it's almost like, oh, okay, this wasn't like a horrible dream.
Yeah.
And she goes to this trunk and she takes out this quilt that obviously has some sort of meaning to them. Maybe it was Helen's quilt. And it's this beautiful silhouette shot of her just smelling the quilt. And I can feel her pain. Like it was the music too. Dave Porter, shout out. Well done.
Beautiful.
Just lovely and sad. And again, it's such an economically crafted scene that just says so much.
Yeah, it just wonderful. I really feel it. Absolutely. That was
leading right into, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like into the moment in the backyard where the music again is wonderful and you can just feel how alone she feels.
You can.
It's just, she's looking around and I think part of it is
that pan all the way around her. Yeah. Emphasize that solitude.
She's probably wondering if people are watching her, but like at the same time, you see this sadness on her face that she's realizing that she is just in this alone. Like, especially if you add to that she's maybe tried to call everyone in her life and nobody is. Or can you imagine how fucking creepy it would be if you called up your mom or whatever and they'd be like, "Hi, Carol."
Yeah. Oh my God.
You really should join us.
That would be so awful.
And going through that repeatedly with every person you're calling and realizing one more person's got lost to me. One more person's lost to me, because she says this later in the episode, like
she does.
Even if they're alive, they're lost to you.
Yeah. It's so that would be so devastating to think about.
Oh my God. And so again, thinking about that too with the address book, it makes her feel even more alone in this moment.
It really does.
It hits me, man.
That's a great detail.
Yeah. I think she starts burying the body, but we'll get back to that. Let's go back to Zosia. She's landing in Albuquerque.
She's landing in Albuquerque.
It's getting late, guys. Jesus Christ.
It's getting we've got
and I'm drinking
there's a
my
lot
wine.
of Pluribus to cover.
God, okay. I love this too, that when she gets into the airport, she just very casually just takes off her clothes and she's walking through the airport naked.
Very casually.
When you're part of the hive mind and you're content and you're blissed out, there's no shame. Like these tiny little details are so great. And the fact when she goes into, and I didn't notice this until the second time through, that the woman is basically getting her shower ready and holding the curtain open for her.
Yeah, I didn't notice that at first either.
Because I think it's like you're thinking that they're all the same person, but it does take a while to process that in more than just in the abstract.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It is exactly. It's hard to kind of understand. Yeah, what does that mean exactly? So I loved all those scenes that we saw of that sort of thing happening, and I had very much missed the first time through. Like my husband was very confused through the episode about. He said, "Well, what happened to the woman on the plane?" And I said, "This is her. Zosia is her."
Yeah.
But he just didn't believe it for a long time. And then I realized when I watched it the second time through that when she's getting her shower, they're preparing a wig for her. And that's why she looks so different.
Yep.
She's got the wig on for the rest of the episode. That's when I kind of clicked like, oh, that's why she looks so different.
It's funny because it didn't bump me the first time through because I just knew that was that character. I just knew it was the same person. But when I watched it through the second time, I was like, oh yeah, her hair's real short at the beginning.
That's what I was thinking
give her a wig. How did she grow her hair? Oh no, they give her the wig.
Is it held up somehow? And then I saw, and I didn't really notice the wig the first time. And then the second time I'm like, oh, that's what they're doing. That's a wig for her. It all makes sense now.
Yep.
They have to she has to look a certain way. And then we find out why.
I don't know if this is just because I'm a dummy or I'm just a crazy obsessive person, but I love shows that like basically require me to watch them twice. Like
Yeah, me
that's my
too.
favorite thing because I really do see, and I did not watch these the first time with my phone. I literally turned my phone off, and sometimes I'm guilty of that. I sometimes will watch something and that's why I kind of have to watch it again because I'm like, oh shit, I was probably looking at my phone. I put it away. I put it in the other room. I turned it off. I'm like, no
Nice.
phones. Every once in a
Very
while, my
good.
husband would like pick up his phone. I'm like, put your phone away. Like I was that person. So it's not like I was missing things. I just didn't quite make
Well,
the
there's just
connection.
I mean, it's the same for me because I was paying attention, but there's just a lot happening. There's a lot happening in every shot.
Yep.
And it's not spelled out for us. It's not spoon-fed for us, as we've heard Ray say in interviews.
Mhm.
And I love it when the viewer is rewarded for multiple viewings.
Exactly.
And we definitely are here.
So, okay, we get our first scene with Ray and Carolina, which it's really wonderful because I think just like Ray Seahorn had with Miriam Shore, these two characters I think have a really great chemistry too. And it's interesting because it's kind of a limited chemistry because Zosia can only be so human in this.
That's right.
At this point. And so the fact that they throughout this episode seem to develop a connection, I think is so interesting and I think purposeful, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I think
very interesting.
Yeah. The setup for this shot that Vince decided to do with her with the far away at the gate, like most of this exchange, they discussed this a little bit on the official pod, was done at this really wide angle, which I think was a really interesting choice. And they explained it away by saying, we really want you to be in Carol's POV, which I think is really appropriate for these moments and really effective.
It works really well,
Yeah. So she's basically, again, Carol's pretty paranoid. Who's watching me? They explain, she explains that like, and I keep saying they because it is a they. Like she's saying we. She's they.
It's funny. Yeah.
That there's a drone, and then she's like, but that's about it. It's going away. It's going away. Like
it's going away. Yeah.
These little moments from her are so funny. Like she's funny. Like
she's very charming, Zosia. She's very likable from the beginning.
Yeah. And she offers her the water because they're concerned about her heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
They really are concerned about her. Like they don't
with good reason, really. Yeah. This is not false concern, I don't think. They have reason to be concerned about her.
And I remember when we were theorizing very briefly in our earlier episodes, and we didn't theorize too much because we didn't want to, and I'm glad we didn't. But we did bring up like, what are the motivations of these people? Like if it's so important that they get everyone, why not just kill Carol? Like, why not just let her die? But like, they can't. Like, they genuinely cannot do that. And so I think that's such an interesting dilemma. It's like, okay, it would be probably so much easier for us if you just didn't exist.
Yeah.
But we can't make that happen. So here, have some water. Like, it's just so funny. I love it.
We might as well look after you.
Exactly. So, and she's like, well, what's in the water? And you're going to turn me into one of you? And I love her response to that. I was like, well, we're months away from knowing how to do that. Which, it's a very casually thrown away line.
Very casual. I don't think Zosia has any idea how much impact that line has.
Right.
Like she just thinks like, oh no, I'm sorry to say, kind of, it implies, no, we're months away from that. Sorry about that. But it's like, oh fuck, no, it's fine. I'm in no rush for that.
Right. But like it kind of accidentally or inadvertently puts Carol on a clock.
It kind of does.
If all of the medical doctors in Zosia's mind, all of the people on Earth are saying, and very rightly so, you're about to suffer from heat exhaustion. They all also agree that, hey, we're going to figure this out. It's only a matter of time.
They figured this out. They got as far as creating this in the first place. So there's every reason to think that, when she says months away, that sounds totally believable. And it's like, okay,
right,
shit's getting real again.
Even if it's not the truth, they seem very confident about it. So that would be a compelling reason for me to be a little afraid. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Zosia has any clue how scary the things she says sound. She thinks
Right.
that everything she says is like super benign, but
Wonderful,
it's like, yeah,
wonderful.
because to her it is. To her it is
Yeah.
wonderful.
She's like,
But it
one
does
day
not.
you'll be like us. It'll be
Yeah,
great.
don't worry. Don't worry. A couple months will be fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, maybe that's great to you. Not so great to me as Carol.
Exactly. I love it. So they have this whole little tete-a-tete. Is that the right way to pronounce that?
Yeah, could be.
About the water, which I think is very cute. And it's just kind of
That
like,
is, I love the defiance. I love the
Yes.
defiance from Carol there.
these are all just really great little moments that build this relationship. And I think it's very effective throughout.
Mhm.
How it's almost like Carol's like begrudgingly allowing this person into her life because she kind of doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
But she also kind of enjoys her, I think, on some level.
Yeah, I think she does. She more than she thought she would.
Yeah.
And there's a like, yeah, it's really interesting to see the arc of how the relationship develops over the course of this episode. There's kind of like a bit of a push-pull going on.
Mhm.
But I mean, I think Carol's probably can be a bit of a tough person to get to know
Mhm.
in any
Or
kind
get
of
close
situation.
to, at least.
Yeah, to get close to, certainly, yeah. That she can be a little prickly sometimes, perhaps. So I think that, and especially in this situation, Carol has every reason to want to keep Zosia at arm's length.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it's interesting to see how that works.
Totally. Love it. This is the moment, too, that we alluded to in the prior episode where we learned that Zosia was specifically chosen by the Pluribus to be kind of her chaperone or her intermediary, whatever you want to call it, because she bears a resemblance to the character on her book. And the fact that Carol recognizes that immediately, I think, is so telling, because to me, like, I can see a passing resemblance between the guy on the book and Zosia, but Carol clocks it immediately, which to me is like, they know how important this is to her, which again, which means this should be very important to us. And the fact that Carol knows that they figured out that it was a woman, I think, in my opinion, I think proves, or is they're telling the truth that Helen became one of them right before she died.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that they know that only Helen could know.
Helen would know. And I think that I was going to ask you this too. They can't access the minds of Carol and her 11 cohorts, correct?
It seems that they can't. I mean, according to the Chiron in the previous episode, we can't read minds, quote unquote. And there's, as far as I've seen, there's nothing to indicate that they can.
Yeah, everything
it's possible it's possible it will turn out that they can, but I don't think we've seen it yet.
Right. The evidence is only that they're getting this from Helen, which I think is, I think to me is proof enough that they're telling the truth. And I think, I think so that's enough for Carol to believe
believable.
it. Also.
Yeah. And that's, of course, talking about Helen is what really gets Carol riled up.
Yeah. And I mean, understandably so. It's like so funny because they're treating Carol, when I say they, I also mean the other 11 or the other 5 that we meet down the road, like she's this completely out of control, angry person. But I feel like every single time she gets angry is so justifiable.
Completely justified. I mean, like, you're talking to this weird hive person about your dead wife, and they're bringing her up
and saying, "Oh, should we tell you how much she loved you?"
Yeah,
fuck you. I would. I had that immediate reaction as well.
I thought that was a completely appropriate reaction. Not the kind of thing that's like, oh, she's a hothead or something like that. Like, no. I mean, honestly, I would have probably lost it many more times before that, and I think her reaction was totally appropriate.
Yeah, I agree completely.
And I thought it was kind of lovely in a way that it was, talking about Helen is what kind of pushed her over the edge.
She's dealing with grief. It's so funny because we have had conversations, and over the past year or so have dealt a lot with another Apple show, Severance. And we talk a lot about how the protagonist of that show, Mark, deals with grief. Yeah. And his way of dealing with it is just to push it aside and to forget about it and to not deal with it. And as you were just talking about earlier, like, okay, Carol doesn't necessarily bring up Helen a lot in this episode, I don't necessarily know if that's an indicator of how she's handling her grief, but I mean, from this scene, she's expressing it. Like she is expressing her emotion. It's almost like her expressing her emotions is what brings about these horrible things, which is just such an interesting concept.
Such an interesting little twist.
Yeah. So I got to tell you, it took me like the third viewing to understand where the fuck Carol is going. Like because Zosia passes out.
Yeah.
And she just
something's going on.
She just hops into her car and drives away. And I'm like, where's she going?
What's the plan here? I don't know why she didn't just go in and dial her 0 on her phone.
Yeah. And say there's somebody passed out. But I mean, she panicked. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think her plan is just to go find anyone.
To find somebody.
To find somebody. I don't even really know where she goes when she gets to this place with the crane. And like, there's like a plane.
Yeah, I imagined like a plane had crashed, and so they were sent to recover it or something like that, or to recover the bodies from the plane, maybe.
But the plane looked like almost like a fake plane that was like upright. Like it didn't look like it had crashed.
It was a very small plane for sure.
But it looked perfectly intact. It just looked like it was balancing on its nose. I didn't understand what I was looking at. I still don't quite understand what I'm looking at. I don't know what
I just
they're
kind
doing.
of assumed it had crashed, but I didn't really look at it that carefully.
I didn't think it was a crash. There was no smoke. There was no fire. There was nothing charred. True. It was just a plane balancing on its nose.
It was weird. Yeah.
Again, please tweet Blue Sky, whatever you got.
Let us know.
At Pluribus Pod. What the hell was going on with that plane? I don't know. But there's a guy in a crane, and clearly this is the moment she sees that everyone's being affected by her emotion. Yeah. Like by her outburst, she can see that the Pluribus has all reacted. They're all doing their crazy seizing thing.
Yeah, and she's freaked out by that.
She's freaked out, and I think also like feels bad. Like she feels very much guilty.
Like she tries to help the poor guy on the crane because she feels like she should.
Yeah, I love too that again, without too much, there's no real dialogue expressing it. It's just in Ray's performance. She's showing that she's like, she cares about these people. Like she does. She wants to help them. She's not being like, oh, fuck you. I don't know any of these people. Fuck them.
Well,
like none of that. She's very concerned. And I think that's very important.
The fact that they're part of the hive mind does not make them less important to her, which I think is interesting too. She still cares about what happens to these people.
Right.
And she still feels bad, very bad, when her actions affect people. Right. Even if they are these pod people, she still sees them as humans of worth.
Well, and I mean, that also shows me that there's a little bit of hope. Optimism in her mind that like maybe we can reverse this. Maybe we can figure this out.
I think so.
So I like that too. It just does show, for somebody who's supposed to be the most miserable person on earth, which we talked about last episode. Yeah. She's not really like she's
not
doing her best, guys.
She's just doing her best in a shit situation.
So they finally come out of their little trance or whatever. And then I love this little old man. He was so sweet. He's like, Carol, you can take it from here if you'd like. And he's almost like afraid of her. Like he's almost like,
I don't want to be pushy about it or anything.
If it's okay. And then the guy is like, it's okay. Thanks, Carol. We're okay. Like I just love these little moments.
That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's the perfect level of humor. Like
it is perfect. Like Vince has such a good handle on how to kind of weave these tones of kind of just odd humor and really like intense dark drama, and he's got such a talent for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So she finally at this point, I think she realizes that what she's done has reversed. Like people have come out of it. So she goes back. Zosia's gone, but she sees, and we didn't mention this earlier, but she told her like, oh, well, your neighbor has some gloves and a pickaxe and a sun hat and you could use it. We see that like she obviously went and got them for her and left them.
They're all there laid out. And Carol's sort of default reaction when anything is offered to her is to say, nope, no, thank you. Even when it's something quite sensible.
Right.
I think
like
she does
water.
realize like water. I think she does realize the pickaxe is going to be coming in handy. She is going to use that pickaxe, but she is going to throw that sun hat.
And we know immediately in the next scene, she goes to call 0 and says the pirate lady can come back if she wants.
Yeah.
Which it's not if she wants. Like Carol wants her to come back, and I'm wondering if it's just because like she's so like starved for somebody who is to connect with at this moment. I think that like her loneliness is kind of taking a hold.
Yeah, could be.
I don't think she trusts Zosia, but she knows that she's trying to be kind to her.
Yeah.
She's being helpful, and it's the only person that she's come across that she's felt any kind of connection with. And so I just think it's interesting that she wants her back. And I think also she's like, this, if I need to know something, she can tell me because she's given me information. So I think she also wants to know, how many people did I kill? What is happening? Like, she's asking her all these questions.
Yeah. I think it's, I think you're right that it's particularly triggered by her realization that, oh God, I think that I caused that. And I need to find out how not to do that. And I need to find out what the consequence was of that. And so I think that is like one of the motivating factors in wanting to get Zosia back. But it's definitely a significant point for her character.
Yeah,
to kind
absolutely.
I think it's the first time when she actually asks for something from these people that have been constantly trying to give her things. And this time she actually does ask for something.
Yeah, for sure. And they have their little conversation. And then when Carol learns that she's killed a lot of people, and we don't even know how many at this point.
No, we don't.
She has this physical reaction. She starts puking in the bushes. And I think this moment, I think, is very important. And it remains to be seen how important, but it's very much stuck out to me that Zosia went up to her and comforted her by touching her on her back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that we've seen that from any of the Hive people yet. Like, this sort of like almost like an individual decision to approach her and touch her in comfort, I think was a big deal. I'm just, I don't quite know what it means yet, but I thought it was a big deal, and I just want to point it out.
I like that. We don't see a lot of touch going on between
other than unwelcome kisses.
People. Yeah, other than unwelcome, non-consensual kisses. Yeah. No, I think that's really, it is a beautiful moment too.
Right.
Yeah.
So after this, Zosia gets a crane or a bulldozer or whatever it is. To help.
A little backhoe thing gets
backhoe,
dropped in, and she, of course, she knows how to operate it because she knows everything. She goes right to town with it. They really do need that thing.
They do, and I think Carol's relieved that they can finish this project because it's like she needed to get this done before she could do anything else.
Yeah.
And I think it's really kind of lovely that they have this moment. There's like an orchid on the grave, and she's allowed.
They did quite a lovely job.
I don't know. It's kind of nice, even though it's just this weird hive-mindy stranger that like Carol has somebody there with her in this moment.
Yeah.
I felt like it would have almost been too much if she was completely alone. Like I would have been. It was almost like it would have been like too sad. Like it
would have been too sad. I mean, it can't just be nonstop brutal sadness.
Right.
We need to have something to hold on to.
Right. But this is a nice little moment for some exposition. Carol asks questions and gets some answers. And Zosia says that like all the maybe like the scientists and like the astronauts and those people were told, or not told, but were reached early, I think is how she said it. They reached them early on. She's like, it's easier that way, probably because maybe those are the people that are prone to like being the alarmists and like raising the flags and the people at Area. I like how she brought up Area 51. That was
Area 51. I'm like, ooh, X-Files.
Ooh, an X-Files. Love it. But then she tells her, or she asks about the other people like her.
Yeah.
And she says, can I meet them? And then Zosia asks, kind of, but it's weird because in a moment, Carol thinks that she's like made her upset again. I like that.
Or like, maybe she's like having another sort of weird seizure
like,
thing.
Oh God, did I get mad again?
What have I done now?
Right. That was a nice little moment. But then she asks and they're like, yeah, they all agreed.
Just like that, which I mean, it's one of those moments again that like, holy shit, really? But then you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, okay. She just kind of communicated with the hive mind. They all have people near them, part of the hive mind.
Right.
It can all be done that easily.
And I think it's interesting too is that all of the people with these other people that we're about to meet are all their family members.
Yes.
Like, it's like those were their quote unquote chaperones. And because Carol didn't have anybody, it's like she needed a stranger sent in. And so that made her different too. Like she was the only one that didn't have anybody. Like, yeah, this one woman's like a little bit delusional thinking her family is still her family, but like there was probably a level of comfort in that Carol didn't get to experience, you know?
No, the other people definitely had a different experience of interacting with the Pluribus people because they were their family members. And so it's a different experience, and you're more likely to fall into some denial in that situation, I think, than if you just saw your wife die. Then you're going to quickly grasp that this is a bad situation when that's where you're starting from.
Exactly. And they didn't quite have that same experience. So
they did not.
Okay. So she mentions, and I think that Carol, obviously she wants the English speakers so that she doesn't have to deal with any of the hive-mindy people.
Yeah.
So that they
can just have a private conversation.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. And then Zosia does mention, I need to bring this up because I think this is obviously relevant later, that they discovered a 12th person who was a guy from Paraguay. I guess this would be the 13th person. Sorry. Who was discovered that morning, who I have a feeling is going to be this Carlos Manuel Vesca actor, like this other main cast member. I think he's going to be this guy. He
hasn't shown up yet. But
has not shown up yet.
We'll keep, but yeah, it was an interesting thing to mention. Like, who's that going to be?
It's got to be him.
Is that they didn't figure in this episode, so you got to think that maybe they're going to show up in a future one.
Exactly. So they're off for this meeting. Carol is on a plane. We are at 2 days, 2 hours, 34 minutes, 12 seconds. She's in the very, very back of this plane.
As far away as she can possibly get from the cockpit.
Exactly. She's like such this like kind of introvert, I think. I love her. Like she's just like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if this means she's an introvert because she doesn't want to talk to these fucking people.
She certainly doesn't want to talk to them. I think I get the vibe that she's an introvert generally.
She is. I think she would rather just be alone or with Helen. That's her happy place. That. I agree. But I wanted to point out, people have noticed this before, but it's worth mentioning. This plane airline is Wayfarer, which is also the airline in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Right, it is. Yes. Yeah.
Nice another little Easter egg to mess with everybody.
Definitely stands out. Yeah, good one.
So they are headed to Bilbao, Spain. And when they arrive in Spain, we meet, I'm just calling them the 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we meet 4 at first, but the 4 we meet first is Kusimayu, who is from Peru. Shu Mei is from China. Otgun Bayar, I'm going to totally fumble these names. I believe
doing a fine job.
Thank you. Is Mongolian. Also, I love him. I just had to say that.
He's very adorable.
Yes. And Lakshmi, and I might have said that wrong. It seems she's from India. She's the prickliest one of the bunch for sure. I would say, and like, look, I would say she's worse than Carol. That's honestly my opinion.
Wow. Worse is a strong word, but she's definitely not pleasant. And
just in terms of like anger and unpleasantness, like I think that she's
and without a good reason. Well, I mean, she's obviously got a grudge against Carol from the get-go because of what happened with her grandfather, etc. Although they all know that that's not Carol's fault. She didn't intend for that to happen.
She didn't know that. I like the fact that like, look, she has to blame somebody, which is very human again.
Yep.
But I also love that, and I have to look up his name again, Otgun Bayar. He's like, she didn't know. Like, and he's trying to defend her.
Trying to play peacemaker a little bit.
Yeah. I know we jumped ahead a little bit.
That was fair though. But but she's a bit hostile. She's quite hostile.
I like that word. That's perfect.
Lakshmi, I think maybe is her name. Quite hostile throughout their interactions.
Exactly. And then we're going to meet, I think, one of our next major characters who I have a feeling, I don't know if we're going to be seeing the rest of these 5 throughout the series. I would be surprised if we don't, or at least we don't learn about them. But it does seem like we are going to see Mr. Kumba Diabaté again.
Yes.
Played by Samba Shoot, who I think is great. He's great.
He's terrific. He brings a certain something to the show, doesn't he?
So great. Like such a cool, like, flavor. You know what I mean?
Very cool flavor. Yeah.
Different tone, different vibe, different energy, and just really fun character.
Yeah.
Mauritania. He's from Mauritania. And
Yeah.
I love the reveal of the fact that he has requested to fly an Air Force One.
Yeah.
Like
Good choice.
But also, again, it's such a great visual way to tell us exactly what this character is about.
Exactly. Like as soon as we, the plane, the outfit, how he is, immediately we know what he's about.
We know exactly what's going on with this dude. Like when they go up and you see all the ladies, I'm like, okay, all right, okay, I see what we're doing here. We
get him.
We have one guy who's absolutely thrilled with the changes that have occurred on the planet. He's working out great for him.
I mean, yeah, you can't really blame him. He's having a hell of a time.
Carol has learned that all of these family members, all these people that are their family members have become part of the hive mind, but they're basically still with them, like as their family members.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but think as I was watching this that she was probably relieved that didn't happen to Helen.
Yeah.
And then what would you think? Like, would you rather have your family nearby, like their physical presence, if they weren't themselves? Like, would that be enough comfort, or would you rather them be gone? Like, it made me wonder.
It's a really good question. I mean, I think that to me, it looks like in this episode that these people are in some degree of denial about whether these people are truly their family. I mean, Lakshmi is quite insistent that her son is her son in the face of all to the contrary. And so I think that I can imagine that it would be really hard to have the physical presence of your loved one and yet have to accept the fact it's not really them anymore. So, this is all still very early on. This is not like ages later.
Right. We're only 2 days in.
Only 2 days in. So everyone's still getting used to whatever the hell is happening. And so I think it would be very difficult to accept the reality that, yes, this person looks like your husband, but it is not your husband.
Right. Oh, man. I love when they board Air Force One and Atun Bayar says, "This plane has upstairs."
It's that to me is almost like the first moment where I'm like, oh, these guys are going to be no use.
Yes.
Like they're more interested in the fact that the plane has an upstairs than they are in the fact that they're supposed to be here to save the world. Come on, guys, focus.
And I feel like Carol, like us, is already aware of that, like already in tune to that. Like I think the moment too where they start bringing the champagne in, I think she's already thinking, fuck, this is not going to go the way that I intended. Like
I think so. I think it's interesting though that she doesn't accept the champagne,
right?
Because we've seen her, be quite happy to booze it up at every opportunity, and so the fact that she turns it down is significant. I think at that point she's thinking she can still achieve something here. And she needs a clear head to be able to do that. So she's still focused on the mission.
Right. Even though I think that she is kind of feeling what we're feeling.
She is getting a little worried.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. And I also had to shout out the fact that Mr. Diabaté is talking about Harrison Ford in Air Force One. Wow, Harrison Ford has made a lot of appearances in our podcast so far.
He has.
I'm not complaining about it.
I mean, I've got no problem with that. Let's see if we can find a good reason to bring him up every week.
I think we should.
I
accept the challenge.
All right, good stuff. Let's see how we do.
Yes, but I loved this too because we were watching this with my daughter who is 12. And I was not quite sure if she could watch it, but some people I knew had seen the early episodes and they said it was just language, which is true,
right?
Mostly. And I'm fine with that. Like she knows not to say the bad words and like, and she actually ended up really liking this show, which I think is great. Yeah. But I think what was funny, what I'm bringing up is because he was talking about Air Force One and we watched that like a few months ago.
Oh,
and
really?
So she was like, Air Force One. Like it was like this weird meta moat where I'm like, wow, we actually get to enjoy this little in-joke with our 12-year-old daughter. It was really great. Yeah.
It's always funny to me when we see fiction referring to other fiction as well.
Fiction, yeah.
It's like, oh, this is worlds within worlds. It's just kind of, and it's a natural subject of conversation. You're on Air Force One.
Right.
These are strangers. What are you going to talk about? Oh, hey, well, how about that movie Air Force One? And again, it kind of illustrates that these people don't seem to be taking the situation that seriously. They're sitting around talking about a movie.
Absolutely. Love it. Carol does not have any interest in talking about Air Force One, although I like to imagine that she enjoyed that movie at some point. I
can imagine. Yeah. In a different situation, she'd be happy to chat about it.
Exactly. But now is just not the time.
It's not the time. No.
I do like the moment where she tells everybody to leave it. She's like, okay, family, beautiful women, pirate lady. Like, I love so many of these lines and
Beautiful
her
women.
deliveries.
Yeah.
So good. I love it.
I did love that. Yeah, that's funny. That was a great line.
Yes, yes. And she's very, concerned about there being recording devices. And then Zosia's
Sensible.
very much like, we don't need to listen. We'll turn it off.
Yeah.
Again, they're very trustworthy.
They
and they're
seem
very
upfront.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone was listening to them. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I wonder
Don't
what
seem to be.
I feel like maybe Zosia and the hive mind were hoping that they would all figure out a way to convince each other to join them somehow.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that the hive mind is not remotely worried about Carol and the people like her. They're not remotely concerned that they're going to be able to do anything to stop whatever the hive mind is doing, because they know that this is an unstoppable force at this point. So go ahead, do your worst. We're not worried about you.
Well, and it's like, why should I be worried? This is fantastic. Like, of course they're going to want to join us at some point. We just have to figure out how to make that happen.
It's just a matter of time.
Exactly. That's what they're thinking. I agree.
So they're not, I don't think they're concerned about listening in on them or anything like that. They're just like, oh yeah, no, everything's cool. It's going to work out fine.
So this scene is really great. I think this is a cool scene because we're only on episode 2 and they're pretty much laying out so many big questions, like many of these things that I just love to think about. Like, she's like, we need to save the world because clearly something's fucked up here. And, Mr. Diabaté is like, why? Like, why does the world need saving? Everything's pretty great. Like, we're doing great. And I mean, I have to say, in his position, he's making some really good points.
I think that he is. I mean, when we first meet him, he just seems to be like a playboy. He's all about the chicks, but he makes some very solid points here where he's talking about no one is being murdered, no one's in prison. The color of one's skin is now meaningless. It's like,
there's no racism anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Peace on earth, as he says. And it's like, well, I can't disagree with that. It's one thing to kind of say, well, I'm having the time of my life. Why should I stop? But there's more to him. There's more to Mr. Diabaté than maybe at first it appears. And I think he's making some sound points.
It's like, you're right that there's more than he appears and he's making sound points. But at the same time, I feel like he has not let himself think about it as far as Carol has. Like, he's not going there. Like,
no, I think that he's definitely kind of like, things are good. Let's be satisfied with that. And, he's coming at it from a different perspective than she is.
And we also have to bear in mind, too, he doesn't have any family members.
Doesn't seem to, no.
Is he maybe a guy who knows where he came from? Like, I'm so curious, again, to find out where he could have come from literally anywhere. He could have come from nothing and he had no one. And so, of course, this is fantastic for him.
Yeah, so we don't know what his perspective is. And it's interesting that they've chosen that the group of people that are brought together here, of that group, Carol is the only white person present. And number one, I'm glad to see that they were smart enough to remember that the world is full of people that are not white, and it seems entirely likely statistically that she could very well be the only white person. So I appreciate that. And I think it also creates an interesting dynamic that, that might contribute to kind of their suspicion to a certain extent of Carol. Like, who's this white lady to tell us what to do? And fair to feel that way.
Yeah. And I mean, again, also very subtly done. Like, there's nothing explicit about that. It's all in the subtext.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is exactly the way to play this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But it makes for an interesting interplay between them that there is that sort of subtle implication that, well, this is the way things are for you, but things are different for us. And they might be a little bit less open to her message based on who she is. And she's just, sort of going in there, just assuming that we're all on the same page. But you can't always assume that. Yeah.
I do love her line when Carol says, we've all seen this movie and we know it does not end well.
Yeah.
That's also a nice play on like him talking about Air Force One. It's like she's kind of playing to his You're a movie
that's a
guy.
movie
Like
idea.
you
Yeah.
know how this goes. I thought that was a really great line.
Yeah. Great line.
I have to ask you, Jen, when they were talking about peace on Earth, did something X-Filesy come to your mind in that moment? Perhaps?
I mean, it actually didn't at the time, but it is now.
Yeah. Another
on
Vince
Earth.
Gilligan piece of X-Files history, the episode Je Souhaite, which is where Mulder gets 3 wishes, and one of them is to wish for peace on Earth.
That's
and
right.
It doesn't quite go the way he hoped it would.
No, it does not. Yeah.
Basically, it removes everyone from the planet, which, it creates peace on Earth for sure.
It does
but
indeed.
It's like that's not what he wanted. And it's funny because I thought of that as I'm watching this. And I wonder if that was what Vince was thinking. I wonder if that came to him at all. Yeah.
I feel like watching this show so far, I definitely was thinking of Je Souhaite a couple of times. I feel like there's a little bit of a root there. And also the other Vince Gilligan episode that I wanted to throw in as well, that occurred to me, especially when I was watching the first episode, was Roadrunners, which has another weird, creepy group of people acting in unison and wordlessly. In that case, they turn out to be quite malicious. But it definitely gave me some Roadrunner vibes, seeing, how the people acted when they were part of this hive mind. So it kind of was a bit evocative of that.
They were all very happy to be doing these horrible things.
Exactly. That kind of like, they seem friendly, but are they? So kind of reminded me of Roadrunners. But also I did think of Je Souhaite a couple of times. So if you're listening right now and you're kind of an X-Files fan, then might be fun to rewatch Roadrunners and Je Souhaite. Watch all of Vince Gilligan's X-Files episodes while you're at it, because they're all great.
They're all great.
Yeah.
Let's talk very quickly before we move on to the next. Well, there's a few more things to talk to, I guess, in the scene. But let's talk about the animals, because I'm curious of how important this is. Like when they're talking about how everyone released the animals from the zoo, the animals are free, and he says the dogs are off their chains, which just makes me think that everybody released their pets. And I thought, okay, in theory, that does make sense. Like you would no longer want to have control or imprison animals if you were this blissfully content, happy person. That makes sense.
Right.
But other than being interesting, I was like, why are they bringing this up? Because I feel like there has to be something more to this. Like there has to be something more to this animal connection. Like and I do love how the one lady was like, I am not giving up my dog. I felt her in that moment. I was like, no, I'm not giving up my dog either.
You can do a lot. You can do a lot, but you're not taking my dog.
They are staying with me.
So
Carol needs a cat. Okay, Carol needs a cat. I hope
I feel like she could be a cat. She could be a cat person.
She is a cat person. I'm 100% convinced of it. Yeah. And she needs to find a neighborhood cat and take it in, and that will help her with her loneliness.
I feel like it will heal her.
I think it could, and I hope it happens. Just saying.
Good call. Yeah.
But I just wanted to bring it up. I love the moment where she's like, giraffe, come out of zoo and eat
that was so
treat.
Great.
And I say, shoo, and he does not leave. Like it's just
and again, like Carol is sitting there and like, why are we fucking talking about the zoo animals? You guys are focusing on the wrong things.
Yeah.
It was great.
I think what's so great about her is like, even with her prickly aspects, is like we said before, she's just very much us. Like we're right there with her.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Absolutely. Like everything she does seems reasonable to me. There's, aside from the overconsumption of alcohol, that's probably ill-advised.
Right.
Everything she does, I'm like, yes, exactly, do that. So I feel like I'm always on her side.
Agreed.
Even when she overindulges, I'm like, I get it, Carol. You're going through some shit.
She's going through some shit, man.
Yeah. It's fine.
So this also, I think the last most important thing in this scene was the fact that we are now being introduced to the idea that some of these people might want to join. Where we hear Kusimaya, the young woman from Peru, saying that she wants to join them. She wants to be with her family. She wants to share herself. She's willing to give it all up. It's like, is she just kind of being slightly weak-minded, or is she being naive, or is she just terrified? Like, I don't know. But I get it.
Or does she have a point? I mean, you can also say like, well, especially from her point of view, she's young. All of her family has joined. And like, why not? From her perspective, she doesn't have much to lose, and she doesn't have much to gain by staying the way she is. So from her perspective, it probably makes sense. And I think it's a really interesting line from Carol when she says, very heartfelt, "Oh, honey, no, you don't. You may think you do, but you don't." And what I find interesting about that, and we see it throughout this episode, it kind of addresses the question of consent, where
Yeah.
also the question of free will. This is what the girl wants, but Carol thinks she knows better. So it's not, we see discussions about the idea of everyone having been joined with the hive mind without their consent. But is it any better to tell someone that they can't join against their own wishes? Is it wrong to make someone join, but is it also wrong to prevent someone from joining if they want to? I think these are all really interesting questions. I think questions of consent are sort of weaved throughout this episode.
Also, the idea of like consent in general, like even if these people were to consent to join, does that necessarily mean that they are consenting to everything that happens to them after they join?
Is it informed consent?
Right. And I don't necessarily think it is. And I mean, these questions come up later with the whole Mr. Diabaté thing that we will talk about coming up. But like, even if you want to join and you say, I want this, it doesn't, you've lost your free will at that point.
Yeah.
So you just have to pretend you want it. You just have to say you want it and go along with it. Or are these people genuinely fine with it? I mean, and these are things Carol's wondering too, which I like. It's super interesting. All this consent stuff is really interesting.
Really interesting. And it definitely is not, and there are no easy answers given to us, but there's just some very interesting questions raised and maybe some subtle clues.
Right. And they all ask Carol, like they all seem to be absolutely shocked that she has not asked them what it's like, because they all have.
I think it's a good point and a good moment to kind of show, well, Carol hasn't necessarily done a lot to try to see anything from another perspective here.
Right.
And I get it. I get where she's coming from. But she's been very single-minded in how she's approached this so far, which fair enough, I probably would have been too.
But that doesn't mean she's wrong.
It does not mean she's wrong, but it doesn't automatically mean she's right either. It just kind of it's another moment where I kind of feel like you can kind of see why the other people might find her off-putting.
Yeah, I agree with that, because she's very, very set in one specific way.
Yeah.
And coming in hot about it.
And like, why wouldn't you ask them a question? Like, why wouldn't you just try to gather information? And the response she gives about, the drug dealer is a very sensible.
Why would you ask the drug dealer about their heroin? Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's a very sensible answer. But again, it's kind of like, well, I can see from their perspective why that would seem like a kind of a silly oversight on her part. Like, why do you think you know all the answers when you made no attempt to gather them?
This makes me think, this whole scene kind of made me think of like the state of discourse, particularly in America over the past few years, past several years. The fact that people are on these separate sides in their bubbles. They don't even want to hear the other side of what the people are thinking. And I mean, for many reasons, that's understandable. But there are a lot of times where it's like, maybe if we just kind of came together, we could solve more problems. Instead of being, like you say, so single-minded. And again, I'm not suggesting Carol's wrong, but there's, there's also at this point no way to prove 100% that she's right.
No, exactly. There's not necessarily a wrong and right at this stage, at least.
Right.
It's not black and white. So it's interesting. It's interesting to consider things from their point of view as well. And I like the fact that the show didn't necessarily make it obvious. Carol's right, they're wrong. There's a little bit of a hint that they have some fair points from their perspective.
Yeah. I mean, and Vince has said in many interviews that he really just wants people to think what they think. Like, he's not trying to make people think a certain way.
Yeah.
I think the mere fact that Carol is our protagonist means, at least to a certain extent, we should be rooting for her. And I know that I have to be careful saying that, because Walter White was our protagonist. And there was a moment in that show where we no longer should be rooting for him.
Yeah. I think that there's a difference between protagonist and hero.
Yes. Yeah. Even
there
though
can be a difference. But I think that
Definitely.
there was obviously a huge difference in Breaking Bad, despite how some people may have interpreted it. But I don't think there's much of a distinction in this show, at least so far, between
Right.
protagonist and hero. I think Carol is the hero of the story as well.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any fear of her like turning into a Walter White. Like that's
I
not
don't
this
think
story.
so.
That's not
I don't think
happening.
that's the direction this is going. She's got enough shit to deal with. She's not going to turn terrible either, I don't think.
Right.
That would be too tough on the viewer.
I think my point in bringing that up is that I think we are naturally inclined to be on her side and think she's right.
Yeah, but I think that this scene kind of gives us a little bit of a pause to see why other people may not see it quite the same way. And I think that's good to kind of not show her as perfect and infallible and capable of convincing them of
Right.
anything. I just love the whole way that whole scene went completely different from what we would have expected.
What we would have hoped.
Yeah, when we hear that she's going to meet these people, it's like, okay, good. Obviously, they're going to see things the same way she does.
They're going to, yeah. And I love that it turns out to be completely the opposite.
Which is like very human, because sometimes people don't get things the way we would hope that they would. Sometimes people are really just focused on their own needs and what's happening in their world and not thinking of anything beyond that. And I think this is all very true to what people are like. And I love the way that there was that twist.
Yeah, and it's illustrated just very effectively.
Very effective.
At this point, Mr. Diabaté says that he wants Diabaté says that he wants to have food. I think this is just this sort of distraction tactic. Like he's just trying to get himself out of an awkward situation.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to have this conversation. Let's just have lunch.
Let's just go have lunch. And so they go, I'm assuming, to his place. It's like
I don't think so. They're in Spain, right? So that's not where he's from. So I think it's just some place. It's just a nice place for lunch. The hive mind, like some member of the hive mind communicated to another one saying, bring them to my place. It's lovely.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, that makes sense.
It is lovely too, but a beautiful setting.
It is. It's wonderful. And they filmed all this in Spain. And
which I didn't realize. It was cool.
Yeah, I think it was at some sort of like a hotel, like a boutique hotel.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like a small hotel. Lovely.
And that they also, like the outdoor area with the gazebo and stuff, they had to build all that. We didn't actually bring this up prior, but in case people don't know, that entire neighborhood that Carol lives in is a set.
They built the whole thing. Yeah, amazing. They built every one of those houses. It was fascinating to hear them talk about that.
Yeah, and I love they were talking about how they built it with some forced perspective, which is really cool, which just basically means that some of the houses get naturally or physically smaller to make it appear like they're further away.
Yeah, really clever stuff.
And Vince also said that he wanted to do this for many reasons, but one of the main reasons was that he didn't want to like torment some poor resident of Albuquerque, like poor the people who live in Walter White's house. That
that turned into a whole thing.
It turned into a mess, and I think he just did not want that to occur again.
It was very thoughtful, really.
Yeah, which is a good idea. I mean, look.
Yeah, and it gave them obviously complete control as well. They could film when they want, where they wanted, and it looks real to me. I was convinced it looked like a real neighborhood to me.
Oh, for sure. It was great. So they all are being served lunch at this vineyard, and it seemed like everybody has a different meal. And I love that like it basically was like they're all being served their favorite thing or something
makes sense. And they'd all know, like the hive mind would know what their favorite is. And so they're all getting it. Like they have access to probably like all the best chefs in the world. And so they all know how to cook perfectly.
But it seems like the implication is that there's not going to be meat to eat for much longer.
Doesn't sound like it. Not if they have their way, at least.
Right. No one's killing any animals.
They don't want to.
Even though Diabaté says later, like, hey, if I kill the animal, is that okay?
Yeah.
You still cook it for me?
I think he did. Yeah, he found a loophole there.
He found his little loophole. I think it's great that his indulgence in this world are basically through food and sex, which are like the two things, in my opinion, that I feel like humans have sort of unlocked as things that are for survival, but that we can also enjoy, that can bring us happiness, which is really just a cool little thing that they have
Yeah.
locked in on for this character. He is finding these creature comforts of life perfectly satisfactory for his life.
Yeah. He's
Which is
got
great.
everything he needs.
But Carol is so, and she's clearly drinking, and she's like had
Now
enough.
she's drinking. Like, she wasn't drinking on the plane, but I think like at this point, it's like
She's
she
kinda given up.
realizes she's given up, and it's like, fuck, I might as well drink now.
And I have to point out, because when I first saw this scene in the preview, it looked like everyone at this table had white wine except Carol. It looked like she had red wine. Which is funny to me because as we've discussed before, Ray has said on multiple occasions that she hates white wine and she only drinks red wine, which I need to know more about this. But I think it's really funny that like she's clearly drinking white wine. Like it's all white wine and that's what she's being poured. And this has nothing to do with anything other than I just love that this is the scene that they're making Ray drink white wine. I don't know. I just think it's pretty funny. So she's getting really kind of agitated, obviously, and I think that the alcohol is
increasing.
Is leading
the alcohol is freeing her tongue.
Right. She's done. Like she is like letting them have it. Like no one consented to this fucking joining, and she's throwing the F-bomb everywhere. And I actually really like the way that what's her name, Lakshmi?
Lakshmi.
Says, must you be cursing so much or something like that? Like
I think as Carol got drunker in the course of this lunch, the more on Lakshmi's side I kind of became. It's well, you got kind of a fair point at this stage.
Is that really necessary? But I also, again, I completely understand Carol. Like, what else are you going to do in this situation but drink and curse? Like you
might as well. Like there's no reason to sort of follow society's niceties at this point. Like,
right.
This is, whatever. Like I give up. I'm going to just do whatever I want to.
And to Carol's credit, she's right. Ravi is not a 9-year-old child anymore. He's everyone. Who fucking cares? I think that fucking cares, Jen?
Yeah, she makes some. Carol's got a fair point, and Lakshmi's obviously in quite a bit of denial about this. But it's her kid, so you can't really begrudge her a bit of denial.
Right. It just I kind of felt that as a mom when she's like, "There's a child present." I was just like, "Yeah, okay, all right,
fair enough."
And then I do kind of like how Carol goes after the kid and is like, so how do you do a pelvic exam? It's like she's trying to demonstrate to the mom, this is not your child, get on my side. But at this point, she just doesn't care anymore. She's just like, I don't care. This is all a lost cause,
Yeah. She's just trying to stir up shit at that point, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And so this is when we learn about all the deaths that we referred to earlier when Zosia has to tell. And to also, Zosia, I think it's interesting that she appears genuinely upset to have to deliver this news.
Genuinely upset about having to tell Carol, and upset just at the very thought of the deaths as well, I think. So she definitely feels things. There's definitely, there's not a lack of emotion from Zosia. She does feel things. She's not like a robot. It's got to be a tough line to walk, I think, as an actress, to show some feeling, but to sort of navigate exactly how these people act and how much feeling they can show.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of that, though, is unique to her character, because
that could be.
We don't see that from any of the other hive minds. Like, we don't see her, like, there has been no other indication or evidence of any of the other Pluribus people that show anything other than contentment.
No, we haven't really seen much of them compared to Zosia. But yes, we haven't seen any sign of them acting differently either. That's true.
But I feel like we shouldn't. Like, I feel like that's the point. And so I feel like there's something different going on with Zosia, is my point.
Yeah, I hope that there is. I hope that there is.
She's clearly not content in this moment.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point.
She clearly is not. No, she is very distressed.
She doesn't deliver this news matter-of-factly. She's delivering it with sadness. And that's interesting.
She is very genuinely sad.
And then this is where we find out that Carol killed 11 million people.
Yeah, wow. I did not see that coming. Wow, that hit me like a ton of bricks too.
It really did. And I love to just the bluntness of that. Like, taking that and then thinking back when she puked in the bushes, and she only at that point thought it was hundreds.
Honestly, like, and then
yeah.
she hears that, it's like, whoa, that is too much.
Oh my God. I'm feeling just so bad for her at this point.
Well, I mean, she has been through so much, and it's just one thing after another. She just keeps getting hit with these things.
Yeah. And at this point is when she brings up Helen, because Zosia's trying to distract them into be like, hey, let's go to the Guggenheim. This would be great.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, yeah, you're saying that because Helen and I wanted to go there. Like,
Yeah.
and again, like you said, she's been drinking, so she's a little looser at this point. So she's saying whatever,
Yeah.
but like, she's done. Like, she needs to leave.
She's done. Yeah.
And
warm up my plane.
I love it. This whole moment is so great.
Yeah.
Warm up my plane. She leaves. Lakshma says good riddance, which I think was enough for her to like, no, I'm not going to let that stand. Which, bless Carol, like, go around and tell them your truth, like, speak it. And she did. And you're traitors to the human race, which is so funny because it felt so dramatic in that moment. And it shouldn't be, even though it is. And I think they dealt with that moment so well by immediately having her turn around and have this really funny sort of like tantrumy walk. Like she's, and then of course this pratfall, basically.
Yes,
like,
pretty much.
Does she trip or does she pass out?
I'm not quite sure exactly how she winds up on the ground. All I wrote down was just drunk ? So I think she trips over her own feet or something.
There's a lot of pebbles, so I'm thinking it's possible maybe she just slips and then
could be that.
All the pluribus immediately run over to her and like they're trying to get her better. And Zosia's very particularly concerned.
Yeah.
And again with the touching, like a lot of the very intimate touching. Yeah. And Carol, I don't know if she kind of briefly passes out and then wakes up and then is very alarmed to find all these people on top of her, as anyone would.
Understandable, yeah.
Yeah. And once again,
fair reaction.
And she's drunk. Once again, loses her shit and starts everyone off again, seizing. And then we can only imagine what are 11 more million people dying at this point. This is a problem. Like, this keeps occurring. She can't, keep her emotions under control, and she's killing off the very humans that she's trying to protect. It's really upsetting.
And she's just so distressed. Even as drunk as she is, she's clearly feeling this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So next morning, it looks like we have another count up clock. 2 days, 16 hours, 13 minutes, and 35 seconds. So it's been a little over 2 days.
It's still, this is all still quite new.
Quite new, very new. And she wakes up. You could tell she's quite hungover.
She's super hungover.
Shout out to Vince or Marshall Adams. One of them had this amazing shot of this wide shot of the bedroom where you see Carol in her bed, and then way on the other side of the screen in the bathroom, there's like a mirror and you can see her face in it. And
my God, I didn't even notice that. I got to watch that again.
Yeah, I'm like, how do they do that? Like, how? How?
That's brilliant.
It was crazy. It's like
absolutely brilliant.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like,
I love it.
Story-wise, what that's telling us. Like, but I love it visually.
Very cool. Very cool. More than anything. Yeah.
Right. Wonderful. So she finds out that everybody left except Mr. Diabaté.
And I like the fact when she's talking to, I'll just refer to as the Pluribus operator, who, by the way, has a very lovely phone voice.
Wait, are you sure that wasn't Zosia?
I didn't think, was that Zosia? I thought that was just the generic operator. Is it
you
Zosia?
You could be right. I think I just assumed it was Zosia, but it could be. I don't know. I'll have to listen
Is it the same person who's answering the phone when she's back at her home in Albuquerque? Or is this somebody different?
It might be. You could be right. I didn't think about it.
Either way, what I was going to say was the person, whoever it is, says, how are you feeling? Which is, of course, what they're likely to say. But I find it really interesting that Carol's response is, how are you feeling? And it's, I think, maybe the first time that we see Carol express an interest in asking the other people, the pod people, about themselves. And so that seems like kind of a significant moment. And she shows quite a bit of self-awareness at in the morning, once the alcohol haze has lifted, that she's asking the pod people about themselves. She readily sort of recognizes, says, how bad did I screw things up with the other 5, knows that she has.
How do I stop this from happening?
You got anything to make me to make me stop doing this? That is just the way she delivers that line breaks my heart.
Oh, so good.
She seems like this is like very self-aware, aware of where her faults have laid, both faults that she is responsible for, like pissing off the other 5, but also for faults she's not responsible for, like making everyone seize when she loses her temper thing. It's kind of, she's really feeling, it's sobering, literally and
on many
figuratively.
levels.
Yeah. She's really feeling it. She's feeling her feelings. She's facing the reality of the situation, which she hasn't really done much of until this moment. So I find that a really interesting scene.
Yeah. I agree. It's like it's kind of a different Carol. It's like, I don't want to say like she's beaten down, but it's kind of like she's just kind of realizing, I don't know, it's just hitting her more.
I think it's almost, I find it kind of almost like a better Carol in a way, like more sort of like in touch with reality, and like facing things head on and figuring out what to do and being sensible about where she is and what her actions have caused.
Yeah. So the only one remaining is Mr. Diabaté. So she goes out to see him. He's still having the time of his life.
Sure is.
And he, this is where he asks her, he says he's going to Vegas, which is interesting because, remember we saw in those teasers that Carol is going to end up in Vegas in like a cop car somehow.
Yeah,
hopefully get to see that next week.
We'll just see. I'm trying not to think about what's going to happen.
Right. But he basically asks her to let him have Zosia for his, harem of ladies.
May I have your Zosia? Yeah.
May she be my sex slave, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Carol is like, he's also not used to hearing no. I'm sure every single woman he's asked to join him has happily joined him with no, resistance whatsoever.
Well, yeah, no, he hasn't heard a no in the last 2 days.
Exactly. So, and she, to be fair, she doesn't say no, but she's saying, and I loved this line so much, what is wrong with you? Like, you have a medical condition? You can't just keep it in? Like, I love that line so much.
The whole conversation, I think, is great.
It's really great. And I think they have a really interesting chat here about, like, again, like what we were talking about with consent, like are they actually consenting if they don't really have a choice?
Yeah.
Like, even if they behave like they're happy, they're not choosing this. Therefore, it's not consent.
Yeah. I think it's a fascinating question, the way that's being addressed here.
Yeah. And I mean, again, Diabaté he makes a good argument. He's like, come here. I'm going to ask you directly. Like, am I being inappropriate? Like, and she's answering truthfully. And saying, we welcome all affection.
She says what she's supposed to say, but I kind of get the impression that she's not totally convinced. She seems hesitant a little bit. The way she says, was it that, for us, affection is always welcome. I'm not quite buying it from her at that moment.
No, I'm not either. And this is what I mean when I say that there's something different about her. Because I feel like if any of those other women had come up, they would have been like, oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Totally. They would have been very convincing, I think. They would have been like quite mindless. But the way that Zosia says it, it's like there's more going on. There's more going on in there.
And I think Carol is picking up on that here, but at the same time, I think she also feels like, well, I don't own her either. I don't control her. I'm not going to make her stay with me. She can do what she wants to do. I think there's still this hope that Carol has that these people can do what they want to do and make a decision on how they want to behave. And so she just kind of walks out of it. And it's interesting because in that moment, I was like, I don't want to say I was disappointed in Carol because I don't blame her for just being like this. I shouldn't make this choice. This isn't up to me. She's not my child. She's not my,
her object.
I have no, I don't have any claim to her, which I think is correct.
I don't own her. She's not mine to give away. I think that's, like if I were to participate in this, I'd be no better than Diabaté's being.
Exactly. And you said exactly what I wanted to say. That like her saying, no, she's staying with me. Yeah, she's not staying for like a sexual reason, like a she's not going to be getting assaulted essentially.
Right.
But it's still something that is happening out of her control.
Yeah. And I think she maybe was on some level hoping that she would force Zosia into making a choice. Maybe on one level she hoped that would actually maybe shock her into having to decide something.
Right. And I think part of her, like you said, maybe was hoping that would happen. But when it didn't, she just kind of was frustrated with the whole situation and left.
Yeah. Yeah. She was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah. And so this leads us to the final scene, which we should talk about. Is there anything that I missed that we wanted to get to before we get to this final scene?
No, I don't think so. The final scene.
This is really interesting because I have many thoughts about this relationship at this stage in the game. When she sees Zosia walk up the steps to the plane, and I think Zosia takes that moment to turn around and look at her. That is something that is very unique. I think that's something that maybe none of these hive mind people have ever done. It's showing, like you said, that hesitation, that like maybe there's something inside her somewhere that really just does not want to go with this man.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Carol sees it.
She does.
And she shuts the window as if she's like, it's not my problem. Like, this is not my problem. But then changes her mind and runs to go stop her.
Yeah, this is like a little microcosm of one of the reasons why I love Carol as a character. Like on the one hand, she's like, fuck this, not my problem. But they're inside Carol. She is a good person and she can't turn her back on someone that might be in need.
Yeah, I like that. And I feel like I'm bringing this up because there's a lot of people that, and Jen, you and I, we're very shipper-brained. We love watching shows
might be, yes,
with ships in mind. And I don't have anything against Carol and Zosia as a ship in theory in the future.
Yes.
But I am still not quite comfortable to be there at this point because, first of all, there's still that issue of consent. Like if Zosia is truly part of the hive mind, I can't, like you said, I can't in my right mind say that like Carol attempting to have a relationship with her in this state is any better than what Diabaté is doing because it's not her choice. But when we start to see these little moments of Zosia having agency, perhaps
agency, good word in this context.
Yes, then I think that it's maybe possible down the road. Maybe. Because I was going to ask you this too. I was wondering if, you know how the title Pluribus has the one in it. And we've thought this whole time that the one was referring to Carol. And I feel like when we learned that there were 12 other people, that kind of blew that out of the water. Okay, she's not the only one. There are others. So then I started to think, okay, what if she's not the one? Like, what if the one is Zosia, and she's the one who's going to sort of break free from the virus or the psychic glue or whatever the fuck it is through developing a connection with Carol. I don't know where this is headed, but I can see the potential for that happening, like for one of the hive mind to break, and maybe if one of them can break, more of them can break.
Yeah, I love that idea, and I also got that impression sort of at the very end there. And I love the idea of the connection between Carol and Zosia being the thing that can draw Zosia out of the hive mind. Not necessarily as, like you say, like in a shippy way. Although, I did write down that I might possibly be shipping them a tiny bit, but
I agree with you. Happening. Yes.
I agree with you that I don't want, not yet, because first of all, that's not disrespect Helen, not even cold in her grave yet.
Exactly. Right.
And also, like you say, Zosia is in no position to be in a relationship. She needs to break out of where she is first. But even if we're to leave aside the idea of like, a ship in the usual sense, even a friendship between them would be really significant, just because as a relationship between two people. I love that as having its own power. And whatever the form of their relationship that it takes, I think that their relationship could be a really interesting central element of the story. And we've already seen just in this one episode, Zosia's already an interesting character, considering she's a member of a hive mind who is not meant to have her own free will and not really meant to be an individual on any level. We're already seeing some really interesting things from her, and a really interesting development for sure in the relationship between Carol and Zosia, mostly because of how Carol's changed, but also Zosia too. And so I'm really interested to see how that relationship continues to evolve. I'm quite invested in it.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely in the future, because they do have really great chemistry, and I would be 100% down for that ship in the future.
Totally.
I'm not there yet. Like, look, you and I are from the school of Mulder and Scully. We have a lot of patience.
Yeah, we'll wait 7 years. That seems about right in terms of the timeline. So give us 7 years and I'm going to be on board.
And I mean, but seriously, like, I love the idea of Mulder and Scully getting together. Obviously, we're huge shippers, but like, there's so much to be said about the importance of their friendship and their platonic relationship.
Absolutely. That's, being a shipper doesn't mean that you only are interested in a romantic relationship. It just means that's part of what you're interested in.
Exactly.
But it's the whole of the relationship, I think. And relationships can be fascinating whether they're romantic or not. Like I say, the timing's not quite right for Carol and Zosia, but yeah, in the future, perhaps I could get on board with them. They certainly have their own chemistry, and Carolina Vidra is a terrific actress, and I think she's bringing a lot to the role of Zosia, and I look forward to seeing what more goes on between those two characters.
Yeah. I mean, all of this to say, regardless of what I'm seeing some people talking about, which everybody is entitled to their own opinions and thoughts about this relationship, but I think Carol's motivation for getting Zosia off that plane is more about the principle of it and protecting her.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I think she feels a connection to her for sure, but I think that connection right now is just born out of maybe just loneliness and maybe having made a connection with somebody, the only person that she's made any kind of connection with since all of this horribleness started.
Yeah. And then there's going to be a connection with the one person in the world that you have any relationship with whatsoever at that point.
Right.
And I think also she did kind of sense a reluctance in Zosia.
I was thinking too that, like, for Carol, that was enough. She was probably like, okay, that's enough. I'll take it. Like that's enough for me to show that she's giving me some sign that she doesn't want to go.
Yeah. Like she couldn't come right out and say it before, but she's saying it now. And you can kind of see Carol sitting there and thinking, it's not my problem. I'm not getting involved, but she just can't. She's just the kind of person that can't just sit there and let this happen.
Yep.
And I think, I agree that it's not out of, a sense of, love or anything like that at that point, but it's just a sense of what's right and a connection for another human being and another woman, that she doesn't want to see a woman being victimized by a man. And I think that is just one of the many things that makes Carol a great character and someone worth rooting for.
Absolutely. And that's how the episode ends.
It's a great iconic shot, right? Of Carol in front of Air Force One. Beautiful.
Yeah. I really cool. Just wonderful imagery. Again, shout out Vince, Marshall Adams, et al.
So good.
All you guys are great.
So well executed on every level. I just love it. There's nothing better than when you see a great show that just everything comes together. The writing, the acting, all of the production values. Obviously, they were given a very nice budget to be able to do all this.
They definitely were.
And the music and all of the post-production, everything is clicking, and it is a joy to watch it all happen. And I can't wait to see what happens next.
Same. Loving it. Well, thanks you guys for listening, and please tweet at us at Pluribus Pod, or email, right? pluribuspod@gmail.
Pluribuspod@gmail.com if you feel like emailing. So yeah, if all of our contact info is also on our website, pluribuspod.com. So you can find our contact info there. You can find all of the links to the different podcast apps. I'm glad that you found us where you have. Please do follow us and rate us wherever you happen to be listening to us. And that way you will be able to stay in contact with us.
We love hearing from you guys too, so please do.
Absolutely.
Gosh, Jen, we did it. That was
we did it, Annie. We
a
did
lot
it.
of chatter, and we had 2 full episodes to cover in one weekend. You guys, we're going to be coming at you now weekly. Our episodes are going to be dropping every Monday after the episodes, arrive on Apple TV. So we will be back with you guys next Monday, which would be a week from today, with episode 3.
That's right.
Of Pluribus. And so thank you so much, you guys, for listening to Pluribus Diaries.